Okay, so the first thing that you want to do when you're going through any project is to organize your footage before you even launch Premiere. So I went through and I took all the B-roll shots, and of course when they come out of the camera, they're not given any kind of, you know, names. They're kind of just this generic sort of thing here. So we're going to view these as a list so we can just see the file names. And so I just changed them. There was 2 drink pours, so I just called them number 1 and number 2. And then I named the shot exactly what it was: a pan of the bar, shot of the brick oven, close-up of adding garnish to a plate, close-up of spraying a glass, all these different ones. So whatever these shots are named, what's actually what is inside the shot. So then here, and I also made, I just put one folder here, which was the interview that was done. Again, I'm going to view it as a list, so it says the name. Okay. And this is just the interview, and I just put it in its own separate folder there. And then here were the stand-up shots, and again, they're going to show up as this, so I'm just going to view it as a list. So there were 2 stand-ups, so I just numbered stand-up number 1, stand-up number 2. So anyway, they're all here and they're in folders. Now this is just the tutorial files, which is the completed movie, and here's the edit decision list. So you can just open that up, and that looks like this once you have it opened up. This is going to tell you where to mark in and out points on your timeline and in your footage. So let's go over to Premiere here, and we'll talk about how to set up this project. So this is what Premiere looks like when you open it up. We're going to go to New Project, and we're going to call it Finka. And we're going to tell it where to save it to. So we're going to choose the location here, and we're going to go out to our files and FIU tutorials. And here's my Finka. I'm just going to put it in this one that's called Finka Test, and select the folder. Okay. And once we've done that, I'm not going to have it create a new sequence. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm just going to create it. So all this did was say what the name of the project is and where we're saving the project. We didn't use any of the rest of this other stuff. Just go ahead and create. And now it creates a blank project. Okay. Now I'm taking the project file that's over here and just dragging it over to here, just so the project's in front of the source. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to import the media. So make sure that you're in your project file folder here, your window, and right here it says import media to start. So you could go to File, Import here, or you can just double click. So I'm just going to double click here, and I'm going to navigate out to where my folder is. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm looking on my E drive, and then in my tutorials, and then in my Finka, and then now we organized this before, we're showing you this before. So in this particular version of Premiere I'm using, you have to import each folder. If you're in the new one, you can just select them all and just hold down the control key on Windows like I'm doing here, or you can hold down the command key on Mac and select them all. And when you hit import, it's going to import them all. But in this version, it only imports one folder at a time. So I'm just going to go B-roll, and then I'll let that come in, then double click again. I'll go to interview, import that folder, double click again. Not the transcripts, the stand-ups. Okay, and go back to the hit import folder, and then double click again and go to the interview and import that folder. Okay, so there's everything. Okay, so we got the interview, we got the stand-ups, we got the B-roll. So let's save the project, just Command S. Okay, and so now the first thing that we're going to do is put down the stand-ups. So we're going to open this up. Okay, we're going to go to our edit decision list, on my decision list. Okay, so the first stand-up starts at 12 seconds in. So 12 frames in, sorry. So stand-up 1, double click, and we're going to start it at 12 frames. Hit enter, and then mark in there. If we go back to the decision list, and we're going to move forward 12 seconds and 8 frames. And the way you do that is you click here and type plus 12.08. That's 12 seconds and 8 frames, and then hit enter to make it jump forward 12. And see, it jumps forward, and you mark O for out. Now, this is the first clip, so we're going to drop it down here, drag here to start a sequence. And when we drag it down here and let go, it becomes our first shot. And we come over here, and it has created a sequence. But it's named after this first thing. That's something I don't like in Premiere. It should just say, what do you want to name this? But it doesn't. So we come here, and we're going to just call this Finka table, and tap. Okay, and then it's inside this folder, so I'm just going to click and drag it down here to this blank area and let go so it's outside of that folder. Alright, now we're going to come down here to the end of this shot and just let it snap. Make sure snapping is turned on and mark in. Now we're ready for the next shot. Let's save, Command S. And let's go back to the decision list. So now we load up interview 1 and go to 1:15. So let's flick up the stand-ups. Let's go to the interview. And we're going to 1:15, so 1.15, enter, and mark in. And then we're going to go 28.26 forward. So click here, plus 28.26, enter, mark out, and hit the period key to put it in there, and hit the backslash key, and mark in, and save. Okay, now our next point of the interview is at 1:50.21. Actually, it's at 1:50.21, so let's go here. 1.50.21, enter, mark in, come back here, and we're going to go forward 22 seconds and 13 frames. So plus 22.13, enter, mark out, and then period to put it in to mark the next shot, and save. Then the next one is, we go to 3:37.10. So let's go to 3.37.10, enter, and mark in. And then we're going to go forward 29 seconds and 21 frames. So plus 29.21, enter, mark out. Hit the period key to put it down, in for the next shot, and Control S to save. Okay, so the next one we're going to go to 4:22.11. So click here and 4.22.11, enter, mark in. And we're going to go forward 21 seconds and 16 frames. So plus 21.16, enter, mark out. Period to put it in, mark in for the next shot, Control S to save. And last one we're going to go to 4:48.09. So 4.48.09, enter, mark in. And we're going to go forward 21 seconds and 16 frames. Plus 21.16, enter, mark out, and hit the period key, and save. And the last one, we're going to go back to stand-up 02 this time, and go in at 1:02. So let's go back to stand-ups, stand-up 2, and we're in at 1.02, enter, mark in, and we're going to go forward 14 seconds, so plus 14 dot, and you don't need to type the 0, and mark out, and hit the period key, and save. Now let's hit the backslash key, and we have our entire our stand-up, our entire interview. Here's all our talking parts. This is all of our A-roll laid in. So what we're going to do now is lock these tracks, and we're going to move the video up to here and turn off the audio. So we're editing video only up on the A2 track. Our A-roll is locked. Now what you should do is play this back. We're not going to do this in the tutorial video because we're not going to sit here for this entire time, because the entire time is 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so we're not going to sit here. But you're going to play this back and just check it and make sure that there's no mistakes. Alright, now we're ready to move on to putting in the B-roll. We're going to start the B-roll at 33:21 on the timeline, so let's go back to the timeline, bring this all the way back to the beginning, and go to 33.21. That's where our first B-roll shot is, mark in. Now notice, remember, we're up here on the V2 track, A1 and V1 are locked, so let's go get the first shot, and it's See You Spray starting at 7:13. So let's come here, and let's go to our B-roll shots, and See You Spray at 7:13, 7.13, enter, mark in. How long is the shot? It's 3:24. So plus 3 seconds and 24 frames, mark in. Oops, I need to mark out. That's the out point. Let's go back to the end point, which is 7:13. Let's mark in. So that's our shot. So let's lay it in there with the period key, and then mark in and save for the next shot. So let's look at the decision list again. The next one is bar pan starting at 2:19. So let's go to bar pan. Let's start it at 2.19. Enter, mark in. and it's going on for 7 seconds, so it's +7 dot. You don't need to type the period. Enter, mark out. Period key to put it on the timeline. Mark in for the next shot. Control S to save. The next one is 01 drink pour at 10:29. So let's go to 01 drink pour at 10:29. Enter, mark in, and that shot is 7:14. So plus 7 seconds dot 14 frames. Enter, mark out. Put it on the timeline with period. Mark in for the next shot. Control S to save. The next shot is stools pan starting at 1:29. So let's go to stools pan. Let's go to 1 second and dot 29 frames and mark in. And the length of this shot is 4:16. So plus 4 seconds dot 16 frames. Enter, mark out. And hit the period key to put it in there. Mark in. And the last shot is 02 drink pour. So let's go to 02 drink pour, and the endpoint is at 4:04, so 4.04. Enter, mark in, and it is 7 seconds, so +7 dot enter. Don't have to type the 0. Mark out, and let's lay that down there with the period key. Now let's make sure, let's zoom in here and just make sure it ends right on this cut, which might be a little short, but let's take a look. So just play it right here and see that there's no jump.
Experience. Talk to me a little bit about.
That's fine, okay. So let's hit the up arrow key and let's see, save, Command S, and hit the backslash key again so we can see the whole edit. Now our next set of B-roll starts at 10900. Okay, so you don't have to type the zeros, so just click here. Is 1.09 dot, and you don't have to type the zeros if you hit the dot and move forward. That's our next point to start in, and our first shot here is meat on the grill at 12 frames in. So meat on the grill at 12 frames in, mark in, and this shot is 6 seconds long, so +6 dot. Again, you don't have to type the zeros. In, mark in, and the shot is +6 seconds. So +6 again dot. You don't have to type there, and mark out. And let's back up 1 frame so we're not ending in black there. Mark out and hit the period, and then mark in. And then the next one is brick oven starting at 101. So brick oven. And this shot starts at 1.01. Enter, mark in, and it goes for 5 seconds. So click +5 dot enter. Again, you don't have to type zeros when you just type the dot there. Mark in, and the length of the shot is +5. So +5 dot enter, mark out, and lay that shot in. The next shot is garnish prep, starts at 12 frames in. Garnish prep at 12 frames in. You never want to start a shot right at the very beginning. So you don't want to ever start a shot like at 0. That's because in case you add transitions or other things later, you need some extra frames there. So always go 10 or 12 frames in when you mark an endpoint. Try not to mark endpoints right at the dead beginning of a clip there. Okay, and this is garnish prep, and that's 7:06. So from the endpoint, let's make sure we're at the endpoint, and then +7.06 enter, and mark out, and period key to lay it in, and mark in. And then the next one is stir fry, and that starts at 23 frames. 23, enter, mark in, and we're going 6:03 forward, +6.03, enter, mark out, period key to put it down, save, Command S. Our next endpoint is B-roll at 1:39:05, so click here, 1.39.05 on the timeline, mark in, and our first shot is see you add garnish at 1:07. See you add garnish at 1.07, enter, mark in, and we're going to push it forward 5 seconds. So +5 dot, enter, mark out, put it in with the period key, mark in, save. Next one is dessert pan. Start at 5 frames and go 5 seconds. So dessert pan, start at 5 frames in and mark in, and then go forward 5 seconds, +5 dot, enter, mark in, and then +5 dot, enter, mark out, and hit the period key. And then the last one here is patrons eating, and that's starting at 12 frames. 12 frames, and mark in, and goes on for 620. 6.20, enter, mark out, and let's lay that shot in there, and save, Command S, and let's see what we have. Let's lock this track. Okay, so now we're going to put the graphic in. So let's come back here to the beginning of the timeline, and we're not going to start the graphic here. We're going to start it when she actually says her name. So let's play it to there.
Hi, I'm Laura.
Right, Laura Rodriguez, where she starts saying her name. We're just going to leave the playhead there, and we're going to go to the window workspaces for captions and graphics. And we got to wait for it to pop up, and then here we're going to type SFMN, so call up the graphic, hit return, there it is, and then we're just going to click it and drag it down onto the V3 track and snap it to the playhead. That's where it's going to start, and we're going to play it for 5 seconds. Again, we're going to count, say, so I'm going to mute this track just for 1 second, so I don't have to listen to her talking. I'm going to unlock it and just mute that, and just 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, stop. Now I'm going to unmute it and lock it back. I'm going to just trim it to there, and I've got my playhead where it's supposed to end. Just grab the end of it and trim it back. Okay, now I'm going to save, Command S, and then I'm going to zoom in with the plus key a little bit. I'm going to put a little fade out on the end of it by just right-clicking on the end and saying Apply Default Transition. That's a little fade out. And then I'm going to park inside here, and you'll see that the graphic is wrong in terms of what it says. So in order to work on it, you have to click on it, and you have to go to Edit. Okay, and here we're going to change her name to Laura Rodriguez. Okay, and then here her title is not Professor, she's SFMN Reporter. Okay, now if you need to, you can kind of just square these up a little bit. So let's click on this. Again, if you're not clicked on it, you don't have any controls over here, so you got to click on it. And then we're just going to move its X position. X is left and right, and just sort of center her name up in that box. And then we're going to go to her title and center that up under her name. So again, go to the X position and just center that up under her name. So now let's just check it, save, Command S, and let's just see what it looks like.
Hi, I'm Laura Rodriguez at Finka Table and Tap here.
Okay, now we got to fix the position. So in order to fix the position, we're going to turn on the title safe, which is this little box here. Now, if you don't have this box, you can hit the plus and just find this box and just drag it down here, and then click OK. But I'm gonna do that again. I'm just going to bring this little box down here, put it in here, and click OK. And then I can turn on the title safe. Now there's this, I can position this where it needs to go. So I'm going to click on it to select it. I'm going to come over here to Effects Controls. If I was here, I'm just going to go to Effects Controls. Okay, click on the graphic so the controls show up. If you're not on the graphic, the controls will not be there. So you got to click there. Then click on the word motion, which just allows you to then click on the graphic and just bring it down. And let's slightly move it over, but it's right here on this bottom line. Okay, and then save, Command S. And then let's see what it looks like. We can turn off the title safe so it's not distracting.
Hi, I'm Laura Rodriguez at Finka Table and Tap here to talk to Eileen Andrade, the chef just named as Zagat's 30 under 30. We're here to learn all.
Okay, that's good. So let's hit the backslash key. Let's go down here to we first see Laura Rodriguez. Here's the Eileen Andrade. So as soon as she introduces her, we're going to put her name up.
So I can tell me about Finka Table and Tap. How did this concept come about?
Okay, so she starts pretty much right at the beginning. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit with the plus key, and it starts right here where her interview starts. So we're just going to click here and copy, Control or Command C, and then with the playhead here, we're going to get Control or Command V and paste it there. Now, of course, it's going to say Laura's name, and we need to change it to Eileen. So again, click on it and click so it shows up over here on here, and we're just going to change her name to Eileen Andrade. Okay, and then she's owner, capital O V-N-E-R, Finka table and tap. Okay, and I have to spell a O there, not a P. Okay, so that's all we have to do, and we need to square this up a little bit, so you got to click on it again. And again, we're using exposition. The name's in a good spot, but let's go to the title and move exposition to kind of just center it up under her name so it looks nice, not crooked. So save. So now let's watch them both, okay? So here's the first one.
Hi, I'm Laura Rodriguez at Finka Table and Tap, here to talk to Eileen Andrade, the chef just named as Zagat's 30 under 30. We're here to learn all about the dishes, all about the cocktails. Take a look. So Eileen, tell me about Finka Table and Tap. How did this concept come about?
We came up with it about a year and a half ago. We had a food truck called
Okay,
Cuban Cube.
So that's it for the graphics. Let's save. Let's go back to the edit. Okay. And now we're ready to work on the audio. So now we're going to lock this track so we don't mess up the graphics, and we're going to come down here to the audio. So we're just going to unlock the A1 track, and we're going to, all of these are women talking, so we're just going to select the entire track. Now all I did was just go down here and click and then drag, and I'm just dragging to select all the audio. Everything else is locked, and I'm going to go to the audio portion here of workspaces. And I'm going to come here and tell it that this is what I've selected as dialogue, that's people talking, and I'm going to do balanced female voice, okay? All right, so that's going to be fine. So let's listen to it now.
And it was an Asian fusion. We saw the demand was high, so we wanted to make it a brick and mortar store, which is how...
Now this is a great audio because it wasn't recorded. Once the audio is recorded bad, it's really hard to fix, but it kind of is what it is, so we're going to live with that. So let's go back to the workspace for editing, and we'll save what we just did, and we're going to be ready to put in the South Florida Media Network intro and outro. So let's go back to our project file, and we're going to import the intro and outro. So again, we're just double clicking the blank area, or you can go file import, that's probably easier. Okay, and we're going to go out here to the South Florida Media Network graphics, and we're going to get the intro and outro and just select both of them and just import it, and they'll both pop in here. So we're going to take the intro and double click it, and you don't put any in and out points in it. That means you're going to take the entire thing. Now you want to unlock all the tracks. Everything's unlocked, your playhead's right at 0, and you're not going to hit the period key, you're going to hit this, which is insert. Okay, it's going to put it right at the beginning. So there it is, and then you're going to come down here to the very end, and the way you tell you're at the end is go out beyond your video and then hit the up arrow key on the keyboard one time, okay, and then mark in there, and then we're going to load the outro, and double click, and again, don't fade out your ending, don't fade it to black, don't fade out the audio, and again, no in and out points, and this time you can just hit the period key or hit overwrite, and now you got that in there. Let's save. Okay, so just take a quick look at it. It'll just look like this. Oh, we got to scale them, so let's go. They're a little too big. So just click in there and right click on it, and it'll pop up here, and you just want to set it to set the frame size, and then you want to go to the end and right click again and go on set the frame size. So now it's the right size, and save. And we're going to go hit the backslash key, and now we're ready to export. Okay, so let's save, and we're going to come up to here and click, and we're going to tell it where to go and what to be named by clicking here, and we're going to go out to our files here. We're going to go to our tutorials. We're going to go to Finka test. That's what we're going to output it to, Finka table and tap. Save. So we told it where to be, which is in this folder. We've told it what to be named, Finka table and pat.mp4. Save. And now we're going to change this to match source adaptive high bit rate, and then we're going to export it. You put it up on YouTube and then put it on your major projects page.